Can Kevin O'Connell finally make Kirk Cousins the player that he's supposed to be? Can the Minnesota Vikings do what we've been wanting to do and take that next step into championship contention? Let's talk about it right now. So Kevin O'Connell, man, oh man, this is a new era in Minnesota. Okay, gone is Mike Zimmer, and he's been replaced with the up-and-coming coach who recently tasted success as a world champion. So let's talk about what the Vikings need to do to get back in the playoffs. And let's talk about it. Last season, hey, we beat the Packers in week 11 to level up to 5-5. And we thought we might go on a run, and then we lost to the 49ers and the Lions in week 12 and 13. And look, the loss to the Lions was inexcusable. But this year, I'm telling you, Kevin O'Connell will be the MVP of this team, arguably. This man is so talented. I remember playing like Madden 09 with Brett Favre on the cover, and Kevin O'Connell was one of the backup quarterbacks in New England. Either way, this is a guy who's been an assistant coach for 7 seasons, spent the last 2 as an offensive coordinator in LA, and he's one of the most highly regarded assistants in the NFL prior to his hire. And he's extremely bright. I mean, he's one of the better San Diego State quarterbacks in their history. And yes, McVay called the plays, but O'Connell will now be getting his feet wet as a play caller. And I think he's way better than Matt Nagy. And I know Zach Taylor, another former assistant for McVay, was able to take his team to the championship. And I just think Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell, who have a history dating back to 2017 when Cousins was in Washington, O'Connell was the quarterback's coach, it will work. And I know you could say Cousins is the Michelob Ultra of NFL quarterbacks. I saw that was such a great comment by Anna Rank. And look, he's not the worst quarterback out there. I personally think, as a guy who lived in Baltimore from 2009 to 2019, I got to see Joe Flacco. And I think Cousins at least is on the same tier as Joe Flacco. And he's 59-2 as a starter in the NFL. And he's posted a passing rating of 90 or better in at least 25 passing touchdowns in at least 7 seasons. So it is very interesting to see what he is capable of. Just let me rephrase that, okay? Kirk Cousins is the only quarterback besides these 5 quarterbacks who all have won 5 Super Bowls. Okay, he's posted a passing rating of 90 or better with at least 25 passing touchdowns in each of his last 7 seasons. The only other 5 quarterbacks in history to have posted such a streak lasting 5 years or longer have all won a Super Bowl during their careers per NFL research. The hope here is O'Connell will have the same impact on Cousins that Sean McVay had on Matthew Stafford in LA. And again, they are familiar with each other. O'Connell accepted the job already knowing Cousins' strengths and his weaknesses, and that should be a positive. And then Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the league under 25. He leads the NFL since 2020 with over 3,000 receiving yards, and he's averaged 15.4 yards per reception since 2020, which is tied for the second most in the league over that span with a minimum of 100 receptions. This guy is insane, and Kirk Cousins is going to unlock him. Of course, the girlfriend keeps calling on the first video of the channel. Either way, Darius Smith, man, as Baltimore Ravens, I was so sad when I saw him walk away, but after spending a few years in Green Bay, he's came over to my other team, Minnesota. The Vikings. I was born in St. Louis Park. I want to get this out of the way. My NBA fans know this, but I was born in St. Louis Park, lived in Prior Lake, and I also lived in Mount until 2004. I was born in 99. And then I moved to Florida, suburbs of Orlando, Eustis, like Lake County and some Seminole County area. And then I moved to Maryland. So to kind of give you why I have different fanhoods, just because of the areas I lived all over my life. So the Vikings signed Smith to a 3-year, $42 million deal, and he was Pro Bowler in 2019 and 2020. He missed all but 2 games with the back issue last season. So look, he missed OTA earlier this month for cautionary reasons per O'Connell. Smith didn't participate in mandatory minicamp last week, and I don't think there should be any concern. I'm fine with Darius Smith. I really think Darius Smith will be fine for the first 2 years of the contract. I don't know if he'll stay for the 3rd year, just because that's how the NFL works. Players rarely play out their last year of their deal. And now, I think the breakout star, there's 2 guys. Irv Smith, okay? Irv Smith. This guy was supposed to break out last year, but it's going to be tough for Smith considering he missed all season with a knee injury. But this guy, listen to this. Kirk Cousins ranks 4th among NFL quarterbacks in tight end targets since 2016 with 669. Okay, so that's 6 years. That's basically 6 seasons. If you divide that 669 divided by 6, I'm terrible at math. That's 111.5 tight end targets a season. So that means, and Conkle left, that our man, Irv Smith, is going to be looking at basically at least 80 to 90 targets this season. And if he catches about 80% of those, that's about like 60 catches for him. And if he at least averages 10 yards, that's 600 yards. You add another 5, okay, that could be 900 yards. Just putting that out there. There's also KJ Osborne. I'm actually a really big fan of KJ Osborne as well. Shout out Ann Rank for showing KJ Osborne some love out of the U. Last season, he had a quiet 655-yard season with 7 touchdowns. I kind of think Adam Thielen starts to show some age, which I think Adam Thielen has at least 2 seasons left in him. KJ Osborne could be right there, arms open to take that spot. Now, I love the hiring of our new GM. I still can't say his name. Like, is it Kiwisi? Adolf Mensa? Adolf Mensa? I hope I said that correctly. I literally heard it twice on NFL Network, and then it went out my head. ADHD. I love this hire. He was with the 49ers. I really thought Jim Harbaugh was going to come. This hiring really made me think Jim Harbaugh was going to come, but I was fine with Kevin O'Connell. I was fine with either. I really wanted Jim Harbaugh, but then we've all heard the stories of what happened with Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh thought he had the job, but they were like, no, this is just an interview, and then it was just kind of awkward, it seemed like. But basically, he spent the last 2 years, our GM, Otto, as, you know, in Cleveland as the VP of football operations, and then before that he was in the 49ers. And he's in this interesting roster that he's inherited. And instead of trying to shed some bad contracts and start a total rebuild, the Vikings also could try to wipe the slate under center. Instead, they extended Cousins, and he kind of stuck with the roster instead of shedding off those contracts. And maybe that's the play with someone like Cousins. Maybe that's what you need to do to succeed. Yeah, he's going to be a 34-year-old with a 500 record, basically. And I know he isn't the best playoff quarterback. And, of course, by extending him, they lowered his cap hit, which was set at $45 million. And plus, there has been rumors that people are saying Kellen Mond looks good. Maybe Kellen Mond in year 4 could challenge Kirk Cousins for the starting role. I would like that. I liked him at Texas A&M. Now, the Vikings hired an offensive-minded head coach, and they brought down the new coordinator, Ed Dontel's defense, a unit that was kind of like our foundation for so long. And it's really going to rely that Smith and Daniel Hunter both stay healthy. Daniel Hunter has missed 26 games over the past 2 seasons, but showed before suffering a torn pec last season that he's still freaking good. And look, Patrick Peterson is past his prime. He's turning 32, but he can be a solid presence for Andrew Booth Jr., who was a first-round talent that fell to us. I really like Andrew Booth. I really like that. I mean, I wanted Derek Stingley. I wanted one of the corners out in the first round. I wanted it. Like the whole time I was licking my chops hoping we got a corner, but Andrew Booth falling to us, I was perfectly fine with that. Then Harrison Smith and Eric Kendricks will continue their thing. And look, I think, again, back to the Baltimore Ravens when they won with Joe Flacco. They had the Vikings have the same ingredients. You know, they have a few receivers that can make big plays. I think the big plays. I think the receiving corp on the Vikings is actually better than the Anquan Bolden, Torrey Smith, Jacoby Jones receiving corp and Dennis Pitta and Ed Dixon. I think that receiving corp is actually below. I actually think the offense of the Vikings is better than that 2012, 2011, or was it 2012, 2013? I don't even remember. It was 2012, the Super Bowl. I think it was 2012 against Harbaugh, the Harbaugh Bowl. I think the offense the Vikings have is way better. Dalvin Cook's better than Ray Rice. I think Kirk Cousins and Joe Flacco, same level of quarterback. If anything, I'm not going to make an argument who's better right there. I think they're the same. I think Irv Smith, if healthy, he's better than Dennis Pitta has the potential to be better than Dennis Pitta. Dennis Pitta was pretty solid until he got hurt with the multiple hip injuries. And I think when you look at this, I think the offense is better for the Vikings. The defense, yeah, I mean, that Ravens defense was incredible. Ray Lewis's last year. Ed Reed was on that team. But I really think if the defense can shore up, we have the ingredients for a Super Bowl team. And I love Dalvin Cook, okay? He's posted 3,851 rushing yards and 35 touchdowns since 2019, which is both ranked the second highest totals in the NFL over that time. He's the only player with more than 1,100 yards in each of the last season. Okay, so you shouldn't worry much about him. Now, Christian Darius was selected 23rd, and he was coming off a growing injury, and he underwent a second surgery in August, missed the first month of the season, and he was kind of rough the first four starts, week 6 to 10, he was graded below 70, but the last 6 games, he topped 70 in all but one of his final 6 games, so he's looking like the anchor for years to come, and it would be really cool if they could. Look, Peter Schrager is even mentioning Minnesota as a team to watch on Good Morning Football. There are good pieces on the squad. Jefferson's the best receiver, arguably in the league, or has the potential to be. Andrew Booth was a great guy. Really, this defense, like again, it's very reminiscent. If the Ravens could do it, I think the Vikings could too. Let me hear your thoughts.